Judgment. 5 of Cups. 7 of Wands. Learning from your mistakes. Learning from your losses. Also have the Princess of Cups and the Fool coming out. So I think with this combo, you went through some sort of heart break. You judged the situation wisely, which you should. You should judge all the situations, not just what happened to you, but how did you contribute to that situation. Not to put just a blame game, you know, going with it, but how did you get to this disappointment, basically? You know, it's like this big structure in the middle of your way, and it blocked you from where you were going, and it made you turn around. So you had to judge the situation wisely, because sometimes when you're on a long journey and you've gone halfway through and you're trying to get to the other side, but for some reason there's this huge roadblock in the way, you could take it as one of two choices. One is to go up to the blockage and try to get around it. Now it looks like it doesn't really look like you could scale it. It looks like you could walk around it still, but it's not the path that you chose. It's still a path that's something that's different than your plans originally. But a wise person will take that and make new judgments along the way. You know, you're not going to get caught up on hurdles. And I really feel like that you're making the right choices along with this disappointment, because you're making the right judgment calls to get to somewhere better, right? You're taking the leap forward. This is a scary leap. It's not for the weak-hearted. The 7 of Wands is it's valor, it says on this card, which is strength and, you know, being courageous and learning to pick up the pieces and move on again, you know, with your heart. Now this is with your heart. We have the Fool and the Princess of Cups here. So what I think about this is you had a game plan in love that did not work out, but you're taking this smart route, you know, around the problem, judging the situation wisely, making sure that you still stay in this soft, watery energy, being free with your heart, because a lot of times when we get disappointed, especially in love, we tend to close off and not give love a chance anymore. So I think that you're making the right judgment call, becoming the Fool again in love, staying in this happy, and maybe not happy is the right word, but staying in this content energy where you're still staying open to possibilities. And I feel like this card here, the 7 of Wands, is definitely going to show you that you are making the right choice. You're going the right way. You're making the right steps forward, even if it's not the plan that you originally chose. You have to learn how to start over again as the Fool and continue on and jump over hurdles, even if you didn't even plan on them happening, even if you didn't think that you'd even be close to wherever you were. You still have to kind of take the hand that's dealt to you and play them wisely. So some people choose to play the hand that they're dealt, some people choose to fold, and some people choose to just wait until the next round. The Emperor comes out. Lots of anxiety over this, of course, because when you have this is the thing about life plans. If you have a life plan that you were so set on achieving in life, right? Say you had this one vision of your life and your goal, and you had the whole game plan out, and then all of a sudden life showed you that they have a different way. It had a different plan for you. So now all of a sudden all their plans are kaput, and you're starting over again. You're trying to get to here. You're being wise in your approach, but the Emperor doesn't like to be the fool. The Emperor doesn't like to be foolish. The Emperor doesn't like to even show that they're starting over again. You know, they should be on their way by now. That's the kind of energy that I'm getting, is that you feel like you should be further along than you are. And we all feel like that at times, especially when we had a set plan that did not work out. Now we're even more frustrated because, one, we're frustrated over our plans not working out, but two, we're frustrated because we don't want to look like we're starting over again. It's pride. And that also gives us anxiety, because now you have to create all new goals. You have to create a new dream for yourself. The Two of Cups. This is definitely regarding around love, but it could mean anything to you if you're listening to this and this is resonating with you, regarding work, regarding any kind of life plans. But with this, I feel like it's regarding love. We have the Two of Cups and the Five of Cups on the board with the Princess of Cups. So I feel like when it comes to starting over in relationship, in love especially, it's extremely frustrating, especially when you feel like, you know, you are someone that's in their mid years, their mid to elder years, let's say, and you feel like you should be somewhere that you're not, right? You've had the plans, they didn't work out, you're beyond disappointed, you're still going forward, you're still leading with your heart. You see how the princess's heart is open, you know, she's diving into reality, you know, with her heart open. Her body language remains open, even though she's still being the fool, even with all the disappointment and the anxiety. So these two cards together are an interesting pair, because they're kind of like opposites. Like, she's free flowing, and you know, she's doing like a back dive, you know, into you know, love, and remaining open and carefree. And this person is up at night with anxiety and stress and worrying about the future. Now, the beautiful dichotomy of life is that you could have both in you at the same time. It doesn't mean that one is outshining the other. Just because you have all this anxiety and stress and worry doesn't mean that you still can't remain open, right? Even if you feel like all of your plans have fell through, or have, you know, you've been disappointing, and you know, you're still trying to get here, you're still trying to get to this match. But in order to get to that, and your plans fall through, the only plan that you have left is to start over. And it doesn't matter how old you are. So I feel like you're getting anxiety over your age, and not your status, but like what part of the journey you're on still, and you're judging yourself for that. You're judging yourself for having to start over again, which could be almost like a death sentence, because it's not a winner mindset. You know, someone that's just gonna pull through, and whatever cards they're dealt, they're not gonna whine and complain and play this pity party too much. It doesn't mean that you can't feel those feelings sometimes, but you have to have a time limit on how much time you give yourself in this energy. Six of Pentacles, giving back to yourself at this time to get to here. So look at what happens. Two of Cups and the Ten of Cups on the right side. So you're still on your way to this. You're still on your way to finding someone that is going to help you fulfill the plans, quote unquote, that you had originally in life, right? Like, if you were trying to look for someone that would be a good match for you, and you keep running into disappointment, and you can't give up, because then you are disappointed forever. You see what I'm saying? You know, so you can't give up just because you hit a few road bumps, or you get a flat tire along your journey, right? You could be annoyed over your flat tire. You could be annoyed that you haven't gotten there fast enough. You have to be annoyed that you have to buy new tires, but you're still not giving up on the car. You're not giving up on your destination. Yeah? the Temperance and the Knight of Wands, which is, I think, is kind of perfect energy for this. So I feel like even though you're going through a lot of disappointment, a lot of issues that you might not have planned for, you're still remaining open to new possibilities, to being, to starting over. And that energy alone is going to make you get to your destination, the 10 of Cups and the 2 of Cups. That signifies to me that you are really trying to find your right match. The Temperance card, balance. And the Knight of Wands is about being a go-getter and going and getting it. So we have the Knight of Wands and the 7 of Wands giving me the energy of, like, even though you've been disappointed, even though you want to give to the right person, even though you're trying to find this 10 of Cups, this ending that you've always planned for, you have to realize and judge yourself in a healthy way, judge your situation in a healthy way in order to get through it, get over it, and never have it happen again. That's the thing about judgment, is people take it the wrong way. It's like, you're not judging yourself to beat the shit out of yourself emotionally. You're judging yourself so you can recognize patterns so that you don't have to get stuck in those patterns again. That's all it is. It's about having a little insurance for the future that the same scenario won't happen again. It's about learning from your mistakes, right? So in order to learn from your mistakes, you have to first recognize the mistake. You can't be delusional. You can't be ignorant over what steps were taken in order to get to this disappointment. So it's not about judging you. It's not about judging another person or another people, right? Scenario. It's really about what steps took you to this disappointment and what steps do you not take in the future to get over the hurdle, to get back to your energy, to where you belong. What steps do you need to do to jump to the next side of life? And if you can clearly define the steps that actually tripped you up, you're being very proactive in your future, because yes, you might run into the same scenario again and make a few more mistakes, because yes, we're human, and sometimes it takes us a few times to make the mistake in order to never make the mistake again. But once you recognize the steps going into the mistake, right? Once you recognize the red flags, once you recognize the things that got you to this place to begin with, you can charge forward confidently, knowing that that will never happen again. And you are progressing forward in a more healthy way into a new relationship, because again, we all make mistakes. We've all done things that we regret. We've all accepted things that we regret, and we can't change the past. The only thing we can do is change the present moment, how we think about it, which then changes the future. So in order to change the future, you have to change what you're thinking about the past right now, if that makes sense. So everything that you do right now, everything that you do when it comes to judging, just kind of going through things in your head, it's not about blaming or making yourself feel more anxious than you should. It's okay to feel upset and disappointed about the mistakes, or that the time was wasted, or that you gave to the wrong person, or whatever problem that occurred in this scenario in the past happened. It's in the past now. So in order not to bring the future not to bring your past into your future, in order not for that to happen, in order for not to make the same mistake over and again like a broken record, you have to first outline every single thing that you did that got you to that place. Everything that you accepted, everything that you didn't accept, everything that you said out loud that you shouldn't have, everything that you didn't say that you should have, right? And it's not to make yourself more anxious or anything. It's to make yourself more planned, more aware, and accept what is. So if you don't want that in the future, in order to remain open, in order to kind of start over again in this love atmosphere, you have to learn the red flags. You have to learn what got you to what happened, so it doesn't happen again. It's pretty simple. It's like, learning directions, and then you took the wrong directions. The directions didn't get you to where you wanted to go. So then you have to backtrack and be like, well, when I turned here, this got me over here, and then when I turned here, I fell into a ditch, or whatever it is, right? So that can be regarding a person as well. It's like, okay, well, when we fought, this happened, and then when we did this nosedived, right? We nosedived, or whatever the case was. So you have to first recognize everything that happened, almost like a plan, like a game plan, a war plan, when you spread out everything on the table and you're just like, okay, well, we made this move, my army went here, this person shot me down here, blah, 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 and these are all the disappointments, we hit a wall, and now it's up to you whether or not you want to make the leap forward to make the new changes. And in order to do that, you have to scrutinize yourself and scrutinize every decision, because every single decision that you make, every single one leads you to a different path. And it's like a choose your own adventure book constantly in your life. So if you're constantly making decisions and you're not being conscious of them when you're doing it, you're kind of just rolling into your future and you don't even realize what you're doing. You're not planning out anything because you're living by reaction. If you live in a reactive state constantly and you're just reacting to everything around you that's just put in front of your face, you're not in control of anything. And you're also not in control of your emotions because you're just reacting to things around you. You're a reactive being. You know, there's other people that can be consciously aware of what's happening around them. Yes, you react to people off the the shoot or off the hip, but you remain a little bit more steadfast in your emotional state because you know what's happening. You know, even when people are, say, as an example, an alcoholic, one of the first steps of being in, AA is recognizing that you have the problem. That's the first step. So even if it doesn't revolve around drinking, it could revolve around anything. If you recognize the problem, you clearly define it, right? You clearly define it in a way where it's so crystal clear to how you got there. That's your insurance on how you not get there in the future. Because if you don't clearly define the steps of everything that's happened, everything that you contributed to, whether or not it's your fault, you still contributed to it in some way, or you still accepted it in some way, or whatever it is, right? You're in this world and you still contribute to it in some way. So whatever anything is quote unquote happening to you, you still have to contribute back. And the way that you do that is up to you. And the way that you stay on top of your emotional state and the way your decision making, right, going forward, is being precise and clear with what's happening around you, being aware. Your awareness factor needs to increase in order to stay solid in your approach going forward, because that's going to make you make decisions better. Like when we first meet people, we're in more of a reactive state because we're so excited to meet somebody. We look at people with rose-colored glasses, right? And we see signs that they're showing us, but we tend to look through them because we're just too excited with this feeling, right? The Two of Cups, when you get that Two of Cups feeling and you're just like, whoa, I'm in love, right? We tend to look through all the red flags that this person might be giving us, or maybe not even a red flag, like an orange flag, right? All the things that annoy us, we don't really pay attention to right away. And then there might be a few red flags in there, right? And we dismiss them because we're so fixated on this feeling. And then you get through, you say you stay together, things are okay, but that red flag is still there. And then 6 months down the line, a year down the line, 10 years down the line, the red flag's still there because you never addressed it. And that's the kind of feeling that I'm getting from this, is that awareness needs to be at your forefront of how, what, who, all the decisions that you're going to make going forward regarding this. you're going to be a lot more aware of every step that you take. You know, your footing has to be secure every single step that you take, otherwise you're going to slip, right? If you ignore a crack in the ice and you still gallop around the ice, like, what do you think is going to happen? You think, you know, life is just going to hold you up all the time? You might fall through, right? You might get frozen out. So in order to stay balanced, you have to have the right footing. You have to have, you know, put your weight, you know, balanced, right? Having a balanced approach of your awareness, your decision making is all about being aware of all the steps that have taken you to destinations that you don't want to get to again. So in order to cross over, in order to grow and remain in that energy and be respected while you start over, being respectful for yourself, right? Like, having dignity for yourself when it comes to relationship is super important, because some people tend to lose themselves in order to gain something else in response to it. And that's not the right way to get here. This is about sharing. This is about mirroring. This is about connecting on a level that is true. And in order to do that, you have to be open, aware, and truthful with where you come from, how you got there, what hurdles you went through, the strife and the, you know, that you had to deal with, and how you got out of it. But I see you definitely making the leap. We have the Knight of Wands on his horse making a leap, and we also have the Seven of Wands making a leap from one rock to the other. So I really do feel like you're going to make a leap forward here, but just remain solid in your decision making. Don't be hasty in decisions that you make. Don't be hasty in making the same mistakes over and over again, because that's where you fall back into a rut. So in order to get out of a rut, you have to be aware and judge every decision that you make, judge the decisions that you do going forward, and that will keep the anxiety out of your life in order to remain open, in order to remain steady, respectful for yourself, for other people. Especially when other people disrespect you, you can remain stately in yourself and be like, no, this is not for me. I know this game already, and you're not going to get caught up in a disappointment anymore from it. This is what's going to bring you to exactly this. These two cards together are really exciting. So I think that in this reading, being aware and clearly defining the mistakes that you've made in the past don't define who you are as a person. It defines the mistakes that you made, and that's just that alone. It doesn't mean that you are a bad person for making bad mistakes. It doesn't mean that you are someone that doesn't deserve love because you made mistakes in the past. But in order to not get in a rut of meeting the same type of person over and over again, or getting into the same type of relationship over and over again, you have to clearly define the steps that got you to where you were, so you never take those same steps again.